So, so why we cannot say yes to Krishna? What is causing it that we cannot say? What are the reasons sometimes why we can't say yes to Krishna? Lack of confidence. Nice. False ego. Okay. What else?
Don't know him much.
Don't know him much. We don't know what's in the store. What else? Faith. Very nice. Faith. Patience. Very nice. Yes. And you said doubt. Right? Doubt. What else? Belief. And at least one other thing that Maharaj actually mentioned last night also.
Fear of losing.
Fear. Right? Maharaj was mentioning about fear. So, there are all these varieties of reasons why we cannot say yes to Krishna. So, in this session, we will try to explore some of the there are numerous examples in the scriptures in terms of different devotees' pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam and also in Bhagavad Gita, in Mahabharata. There are numerous examples of how Krishna, when devotees said yes to Krishna, how he protected them. And also how in other situations where Krishna promises how he will protect those who come to him. So I'm hoping that if we get, because Prabhu also mentioned knowledge, we don't know him much. Even though we think we know him, but we still don't know, we don't have the faith. So maybe if we kind of remember all these different situations and different scriptural references, maybe when it comes time for us to say yes to Krishna, maybe we can remember at least one of these situations or one of these scenarios and say, hey, am I worse off than that person or that devotee? So this is a small attempt. So in Bhagavad Gita chapter 9 text 22, Lord promises to protect. Ananya chintayanto man ejana paripasate tesham nityavayuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. So, who else gives you that guarantee? Is your wife or husband? Does anybody give that guarantee? No, right? Our government doesn't give that guarantee. Our extended family, or nobody, you cannot get that kind of level of guarantee. That I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. And Prabhupada says that in the purport, Kshema in this particular context is actually referring to merciful protection from the Lord. So the Lord is promising his complete merciful protection for somebody who devotes or who worships him. And how does he do that? He also says, I carry what they lack. What do we lack? What do we lack? So many things, but essentially, what is the one thing that we lack? Bhakti, devotion. Right? So he says, I carry what they lack. So he's the one who is going to even give you that devotion to get you to the stage where you can be guaranteed the merciful protection. Right? And what do we actually, what can we lose, I guess, in terms of if we don't follow, if we don't get this thing? What is the worst thing that could happen? If you don't get, yes.
You don't live a comfortable life.
Comfortable life. Define comfortable life.
Materially comfortable life.
Materially comfortable life.
Like a ribbon cloud.
But is that, I mean, that's temporary. I mean, you might get that one day and not have it that day. But what is the essential thing that you will actually lose or you won't get? Krishna Prema, right? Because actually, if you think about it, the one thing that we are going to lose is actually that we cannot awaken our Krishna Prema. All these material things that we might want, we might get, maybe temporary here and there, but ultimately that is the thing that we are going to not get. And so Krishna is promising that. So in the case, I mean, there are so many examples. So one thing that we can think about is how Lord Brahma, what did he do? Guru Maharaj says, boo boo. What boo boo did he do? He stole the friends of Krishna, right? But at the end, but what did Krishna do to him? Krishna gave him the most benediction, right? Basically, even though he has done the most, probably the worst kind of aparadha, offense, but still he was given the most merciful benediction by Lord Krishna. So which offense was worse, Indra's offense or Brahma's offense? Why?
Because he took his devotees away.
Right. Because in the case of Indra, when he committed the offense of sending these Samvartaka clouds and raining upon the Vrajadam, at least he got all the cowherd men and boys and girls, everybody into one place so that they can relish Krishna's presence. That's what they were hankering for all this time. And they were able to actually get that opportunity. For 7 days and 7 nights, they were able to see Krishna continuously. But in the case of Brahma, he actually took all his friends away. And so, but who got the most mercy? Brahma. Because even though he did the most offense, but Krishna was merciful to him. So, what to think of us? I mean, even though we are not doing the level of devotion or service, but still we have the opportunity. So, if we can commit to Krishna, then obviously he will be more merciful to us. Right? And Srimad Bhagavatam, as Krishna is talking to Uddhava, he says to Uddhava, I always follow in the footsteps of my devotees everywhere, who are free from all personal desires, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful, without any feelings of enmity, and of equal disposition everywhere. I walk behind them. Krishna is promising, Krishna is saying that he is going to walk behind the footsteps of his devotees, so that in case if we ever if there is a chance of falling down, he is there to protect us. He is there to hold us, catch us. What more can we ask for? Some of you might have already come across this one or seen this one, but this is a story where one day one man had a dream, and in the dream he saw the Lord and himself walking on the beach, And he saw that all his life's different scenes from his life kind of were flashing by. And then he saw both of them were taking steps in the sand. And then at the end of the thing, the whole thing, he looked back and he saw that in some cases there were two steps, basically two pairs of steps. And in some cases there were only one pair of steps. And he was thinking, and then he thought about what are all the scenes that flashed by. And then he remembered that on all those cases where there was only one pair of steps, those were the most painful or saddest times in his life. And he was like, how come Lord can leave me at that particular time? And so he asked Lord, how come when I need you most, you were not there, your steps were not there? And so the Lord replied, it's actually in those times you were not I was actually carrying you. So those were actually my steps. So those are not your steps. So that's what. So when we need the most, actually the Lord helps us. If we have that faith and devotion, if we can think about Him. Of course, the Lord says that He is the Suhruda. He is the well-wisher of all living beings. In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 29, He says, Bhoktaram yajnatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarvabhutanam jnatva mam shanti mricchati. A person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the Supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. So He is the well-wisher and friend of all of us. So what happens when you are in difficult times? What does your friends do? Huh? Maybe you should get good new friends. No, I mean, typically, I guess, most part, I think the friends try to help. but you cannot guarantee, of course. Mataji is also right, that in situations when it comes, they might kind of, I mean, obviously everybody will look, there will be a situation where people may not be able to actually help you. But there is one personality that you can always count on. That Krishna is saying that Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, I am always there to protect you. And so, in case of His protection, it might be coming in different forms. We may not be able to recognize how He is being so friendly. But He is still the only friend you can count on till the end, or eternally. Right? In Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhishma Dev says to Yudhishthir, Nahi asya tarhi chiran rajan puman veda vidishtitam yad vijñāshaya yukta muhyanti kavayor vihi. O king, no one can know the plan of the Lord, Sri Krishna. Even though great philosophers inquire exhaustively, they are bewildered. So we cannot try to think, oh, how Krishna is going to help me. We have to have the inherent faith. We have to develop that faith. Because we cannot have preconceptions on our expectations. Okay, the Lord Krishna should act like this. He should give me my $1 million first and then devotional service next. Right? And also how mercy should come. Okay, I want to receive my mercy on my own terms. Right? We cannot have those kind of expectations because if those things because Krishna's mercy is inconceivable, right? He is like the example that Prabhupada gives is like a mother. Mother shows so much love and affection and mercy to their children, right? All of you mothers know. The thing, it may not be, the child may not perceive it as mercy. A lot of times, actually, probably. Because, for example, if you have to go take the child to a dentist office or doctor office or something, that they're not going to like. So the mother might say, come up with different excuses, different stories or whatever, and she ultimately will take him there. Even though he may not feel that it's a mercy, but she is looking after him in terms of what is best for him. Right? So the same way, the Lord also always looks for what is the best for us. So He will give the mercy accordingly. And sometimes He might actually throw some difficulties for us. What does the difficulties do? When you get into difficulties, what happens? It purifies. Huh? Yeah, so you might actually have developed that relationship more, because also sometimes it's needed. Like you give a time out to the child. Why do you give the time out to child? So that there is some basically you want the child to perform in certain way, but at the same time it's out of love. You are trying to get them to deepen their dependence, right? Sometimes when the difficulties come, when we are helpless, that's the only time when we are going to completely say, hey Krishna, it's up to you now. That's when we actually say yes to Krishna, if you think about it. But otherwise we'll try to solve our problems. We tend to try to solve, let me try this first on our own, right? And also, it is said that the suffering of a devotee is different than a suffering of a materialist. Because when a devotee suffers, even though it might look from an outward standpoint that he is actually going through some suffering, but internally he is actually getting more closer to Krishna, because his faith and his dependence are going to be more stronger. And his love and thing. It's like the example of son of a king versus an orphan. The difficulty of a son of a king is at a different scale than the difficulties that an orphan faces. So what do? We should try to pray for the protection of those devotees whom we love and serve them in their devotional service. Krishna also goes on to say in chapter 9, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshu asti na priyaha e bhajanti tu maham bhaktya mai deteshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So Krishna is promising is that he's equal to everyone, but at the same time he's not equal, right? Because the one that whoever renders service or the one who depends on him, he's saying that he is going to be more merciful to that person, that devotee. So we have to always kind of remember that Krishna is always there to. So just by performing devotional service, we can actually deepen our shelter of Krishna when the if there are hardships. Let's not rely on our own strength. Krishna is our eternal Father, and He is a Lord and Master. He will only give devotees what is in the best interest. We already talked about it. And whatever we have done, the spiritual advancement, everybody knows this, that it's not lost. And it's whenever there is the greatest need, it will come to help us. And Krishna never forgets anything that we do for him. And what is this famous pastime or story that you can think of? Krishna never forgot anything that somebody did for him. Draupadi, right? I mean, when Krishna got hurt, she immediately tore her sari and tied it for Krishna, and he never forgot that. So when, in the case of when she was being disrobed in the Kaurava assembly, of course, the first she didn't, like I was saying, first she tried to depend on her own strength. She tried to use both hands, and she tried to pray to her husbands and her grandfather and all the different personalities. And of course, when she realized that what she was doing is not complete dependence on Krishna, that's when, until then, Krishna didn't kind of come to help her. But when she finally gave up and said, "Hey Govinda," then Krishna immediately was there to help her, right? And also the Pandavas, when they took complete dependence in Krishna. And so whatever the miseries that they went through, they always were dependent. And so at the time of the fire of Lakkhagriha, Krishna actually protected them. So, and even in the case of Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada had to go through so many difficulties in terms of his health, in terms of his financial, initially in the initial days about his financial stuff. But ultimately Krishna showed his protection, because Prabhupada, the faith that Prabhupada had in Krishna, and that carried him through. So the Lord never gives us up. It is said in the 9th chapter, 31 verse, Kshipiram bhavati dharmatma sasvachantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So, Krishna actually is asking Arjuna to declare it, that his devotee will never perish. Why? Why can't he declare it boldly? Why is he asking Arjuna to declare that his devotee will never perish?
When Krishna gives a word, and sometimes he has to break his own word, but he protects the words of his devotees at any cost.
Because Krishna is asking Arjuna to declare it, because he cannot break the promise of his devotee. Because he is a supreme Lord, he can change his word. It's his own terms. Nobody needs to get a guarantee from him. I mean, he gives a guarantee, but at the same time he can also break his own promise. But in the case of if a devotee promises, then he doesn't. He has to abide by that word. The famous pastime is in the case of when Bhishma Pitamaha promises in the battlefield, because Duryodhana on the 9th day of Mahabharata war, Duryodhana gets all worried about, because he sees that it's a losing proposition. So he goes to Bhishma, and Duryodhana basically says that because you love Pandavas more than us, you are not fighting at your full strength. You're never going to defeat them. So Bhishma gets angry, and he says that tomorrow I'll finish them off. I'll kill all the 5 Pandava brothers. And so then of course the story is that when Krishna knows that Bhishma promised that, so he actually, there are 2 versions of the story. One where Bhishma actually tells Arjuna to go to Duryodhana and get the arrows, because actually Bhishma says that I have 5 arrows that are special arrows. These arrows will kill Pandavas. Of course, Duryodhana doesn't trust Bhishma that he would use those arrows or he would keep those arrows. So Duryodhana actually says, let me keep those arrows with me as insurance. I'll give it to you tomorrow during the war. And so Bhishma says, okay, you take it. And so then Krishna knows that Duryodhana has those arrows. So he tells Arjuna, go to Duryodhana and ask for, because if you go, he will naturally say that I'll give you something. And so when he asks for something, what is the thing that you want, then ask for the arrows. So Arjuna goes to Duryodhana's tent. And so Duryodhana was surprised when Arjuna came, and so he thought that Arjuna wanted to kind of give up the war. And so immediately, because Arjuna was a younger brother, so he actually offered obeisances. And Duryodhana said, I'll give you whatever you want. And so Arjuna got up, and then Duryodhana said, I will give, if you want to stop the war, let's do it. I'll give you your kingdom, whatever the kingdom that you want. Then Arjuna said, no, I'm not interested at this point. So then Duryodhana said, what do you want then? He said, I want the 5 arrows that you have. And so Duryodhana, he has to keep by his word, so he gives those 5 arrows. So obviously Krishna is protecting in this particular situation the Pandavas, but also at the same time in this similar situation, actually Bhishma also wanted to test Krishna's promise, because Krishna also promised at the start of the war that he would not take a weapon, he would not fight. But at the same time, if Bhishma actually tries to kill Pandavas, Bhishma knows that he will actually, Krishna will protect them. So when the next day the battle goes on, of course Bhishma still has so many weapons, so Bhishma tries to attack Pandavas, and he almost, especially Arjuna, he almost destroys Arjuna's chariot, and he is about to kill Arjuna. And that's when Krishna breaks his promise. He basically takes the wheel of the chariot and he goes at Bhishma. And so Bhishma says, okay, now I made you break your promise, so you can kill me now. And so Krishna can break his own promise. That's why Krishna actually asks Arjuna to declare it, that my devotee never perishes. Right? And in this particular, also there is a nice Bhagavatam story where Gajendra, he is the king of the elephants, and he was actually in great misery when he was attacked by the crocodile. But because Gajendra actually remembered the Supreme Lord, because he was in his previous life, he was a king in Vidyumna, and he was very pious, and he was a great devotee of the Lord. So Krishna actually gave him the remembrance, so that he can remember the Lord and offer his prayers. So he's offering a lotus flower to the Lord, and the Lord appeared, and he was able to protect. So if one takes to Krishna consciousness, then all the things will happen. All the regulations and everything will follow, just like a servant follows a master. The example that Prabhupada gives is in the material world, if you have somebody has to become a high court judge, what would they have to do?
Become a good attorney.
Yeah, you have to become a good attorney, and also you have to get recommendations from the bar association, and you have to get all this high profile recommendations and all that stuff. And but in the case of a devotional service, for becoming a devotee of the Lord, you just have to take up the position. It's like Prabhupada says that you just have to sit on the high court bench, high court judge bench, high court bench as a judge. Then you will get all the qualifications. So same thing, Krishna actually provides all the qualifications if we have the faith in Him. So if we take up the devotional service, if we want to take to Krishna consciousness, then all the things, all regulations, everything will follow, just like a servant follows a master. And in the previous verse, it says Kshipiram bhavati dharmatma. What does Kshipiram means? Very soon, right? Because somebody taken to Krishna consciousness, they will actually become a pious or a devotee. So, and also, we also talked about the destruction of real life is actually materialism, because if we take up to the way we are going to ruin the life is by getting more material attachments. So in the case, and also we talked about Kaunteya Pratijanihi, because it's Krishna is asking Arjuna to declare that that once somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, it will never be destroyed, because that is the thing that could be actually that's the only thing actually that could be destroyed, because everything else is temporary. So if you all the materialistic things, you might get something, but you might you will lose eventually. But if once you take to Krishna consciousness, there is no destruction, basically. And also Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita that He is actually the one who gives us the remembrance. So even if we decide to forget Krishna, but Krishna will always will actually provide that remembrance. Because there is a famous story in Prabhupada's pastimes also. Once there was a devotee who actually helped Prabhupada quite a bit in the early days in his preaching services. But later on, the devotee fell down and kind of got into more material attachments, and so he was not part of the Hare Krishna movement. So one time, actually Prabhupada wrote a letter to this devotee saying that, since you have helped me so much in my early days, and you have been such a good devotee in the Krishna consciousness, when you have difficulties, Krishna will definitely protect you, definitely help you. And so it just so happened that the devotee, towards the end, he actually ran into some issues and some problems. And but devotees, by Krishna's mercy, devotees found out about it, and they actually went and during his, he had a terminal illness or something that came up, so they actually went and helped him leave the body peacefully. So Krishna will always keep the remembrance. He will always protect us, even if we don't have, even if we don't remember at the time. And also Krishna promises that He will never give up on us. In chapter 12, He says, Etu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparah ananyeneva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate teshamaham samudharta mutya samsara sagarat bhavami nachirat partha maya veshita chetasam. For one who worships me, giving up all his activities unto me, and being devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, and always meditating upon me, who has fixed his mind upon me, O son of Krudha, for him I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So the Lord promises here that He can help us to get out of this ocean of birth and death. But we have to kind of have the faith, and we have to have the knowledge, and we have to be able to depend on Him. So if we perform these things, if we can perform our devotional service, He will actually deliver us from the cycle of birth and death. Krishna actually says that he is so great, he is inconceivable. It's said that the material creation is only 1/4 of the entire Krishna's creation. So there are so many innumerable living entities and so many things. So how is Krishna going to remember? But he will listen to everyone's prayers, and he can, and at any time, and also he can also because he expanded himself as Paramatma and staying in our hearts, he knows exactly when we need the help, or when we are praying for him. So he can actually he can help us, he can protect us, he can give us that protection that we need. So even it is said that even an insignificant jivatma, living soul, living entity, even if one sincerely prays to the Lord will never forget it. So not only He will not forget that, He will be there to rescue at the right time. So we have to have that faith that Krishna will come to rescue us. That's the only thing. And then we have to pray to Krishna. So it's possible that we may abandon Krishna, but Krishna will never abandon us. Because we might think that sometimes when we are in situations, we might think that, oh, Krishna is not there to protect me, or Krishna is not being present. Why I'm going through these things? But it is He is waiting for the opportune moment to actually do this thing, to give us the protection. So we have to have, somebody said one of the things that we don't have was patience, right? We want everything on our own terms, but Krishna is not an order taker. So we cannot expect that, okay, Krishna, I need today my list of these things, I need protection, right? So we cannot do that, because Krishna knows what is the right moment, what is the right time to give us the protection. So we have to be able to develop the patience. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is quoted that blessed is that devotee who never gives up the service to the lotus feet of his worshipable Lord, and blessed it is that Lord who when the devotee gives up his service, the Lord drags him back by the hair. So even if we decide to give up our service or give up our devotional service, the Lord, through the agency of Durga Devi, or material nature, He will pull us back by dragging with our hair. So it's our choice whether we want to be dragged by our hair, or whether we want to do it on our own. So it's up to us. So which do you think is the best one? Dragging by the hair? Sometimes that's the only way actually works. Because we have been conditioned so materially so much that we cannot realize. The thing is, if you think about it, I mean, we have faith in so many things, right? I mean, all of you drove from many places or flew from many places. So you all said yes to somebody to get onto a plane. I mean, you don't know who that guy was in the pilot's seat. And you don't know out of the 30 or 40 million people that were on the road this weekend, you don't know which crazy one is driving. But you said yes. And you got in your car or you got in your flight and you got here. But at the same time, when we have to say yes to Krishna, we think twice. We kind of have that, because we still want to try to do things on our own strength, or our own intelligence, or on our own terms, and that's our problem. So if we can kind of understand and identify that our problem, like Guru Maharaj was saying that, what was that? If we, in order for us to understand what is causing it, no, actually yesterday, right? Last night he was saying, Jiva Goswami, he was quoting, in order for us to know how to exit, we need to know how we came into this thing, how we entered into it. So it's the same thing. It's like, in order for us to say yes to Krishna, we need to know why we are in this situation first, or what is the guarantee that Krishna is offering, and we have to develop that faith. Then only we will be able to actually say yes. And because we need to understand that Krishna will never abandon us. So the more we understand the nature of Krishna's love, and the nature of, and also the nature of Krishna's transcendental qualities, the more we want to surrender to Him. Because otherwise, we are, like Prabhu said, it's knowledge. If we don't have the knowledge, then we will always be trying to depend on our own selves rather than depend on Krishna, right? I mean, so if we, the more we want to stop wasting our time, become His devotee, turn our life over to His loving service and the service of His servants. So that's what, if we understand Krishna's love and Krishna's promises and Krishna's pastimes, then it becomes much easier for us to be able to surrender to Him and also His servants. And so we can do the service to them. There is another example of Krishna's, how Krishna always protects or listens to the prayers. In the case of Muchukunda, he was actually in the cave, and when Krishna basically Kalayavana was running behind Krishna, Krishna enters into the cave, and then obviously when Muchukunda opens his eyes, Kalayavana burns to ashes. And so Muchukunda actually offers beautiful prayers to Krishna and says that, what did I do for me to get your darshan at this time? And Krishna actually reveals to Muchukunda that you have been a devotee. I have known. He says that I have taken many births, many lifetimes, and also you have taken many births, many lifetimes, and you have actually performed nice devotional service. You had offered such nice prayers in your previous lifetimes. So I remember you. I remember all those prayers. So I wanted to give you deliverance from your curse, the curse that Muchukunda had. So that's why I took the opportune moment. Of course, it took lot of time. So that's where the patience comes into picture. So Muchukunda had that patience, and Lord actually appeared in front of him and delivered him. So Krishna also never leaves his devotees. In the chapter 9, text 34, it said, Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mameveshyasi yuktaivam Atmanam Matparayanaha. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Offer obeisances and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So, in this, Krishna promising that if you, by worshipping him, by offering obeisances to him, by completely absorbed him, he is again promising that you will come to me. So he's repeatedly, trying to hammer this information to us through so many places. It's up to us to remember this at the time that we need to say yes to Krishna. So this is another pastime that the one that I was telling about, how Arjuna went to Duryodhana to get the weapons. In the case of, there is another version of the story where Krishna also asked Draupadi to go to Bhishma and ask for him to save her husbands. So basically, Krishna advises Draupadi that Bhishma actually made the promise to kill your husbands tomorrow. So if you go and ask, he won't refuse. So Draupadi, he actually takes Draupadi to the battlefield to Bhishma's tent where he is staying, and so towards the end he says that Krishna tells Draupadi that your shoes are actually making noise because you want to go silently, so that when you fall down, Bhishma should say, he should give you the promise. So he actually asked Draupadi to take off her shoes, and so then they go, and Draupadi falls at the lotus feet of Bhishma, and Bhishma doesn't know who that is, and so he says, whatever you desire, I will give you. And then Draupadi gets up, and then Bhishma says, oh, what do you want? And Draupadi says, please don't kill my husbands. And Bhishma says, that's okay, since I gave you the promise, I have to do it. And then he sees Krishna, and Krishna is actually carrying Draupadi's shoes. So Bhishma says, Krishna, why are you carrying those shoes? And so Krishna says that because I have the promise to protect my devotees, so whatever is needed, I am ready to do it. So he's like that. He will never abandon us. So he is always there to protect us. So it is up to how we want to surrender to him, how we want to approach him, how we want to say yes to Krishna. So we also talked about, somebody mentioned that one of the other factors that we don't want to say yes to Krishna is fear, right? So even Guru Maharaj was saying last night, I believe, fear was one of the things. So it is said that there is no greater anxiety than fear. People are more disturbed and feel more pain by fear than anything else. But the thing is, what is the reason for fear? Actually, Guru Maharaj also said that because fear is because of the darkness, because of knowledge, lack of knowledge. So but if we bring Krishna into our lives, then that fear can be driven away, because Krishna is compared to sun and moon. He is the source of all light, right? So he can actually, if we bring Krishna into our lives truly, because we can say that, oh, I'm already bringing Krishna into my life, but how much you are bringing Krishna into your life? Because if you are still fearing before you say yes to Krishna, that means that you don't have, you haven't brought Krishna into your life completely, right? Bhagavatam actually states that fear personified is actually afraid of Krishna. So if we take to Krishna, then we don't have to have any fear. And in the same, also if the mind fixes itself in devotional service to Krishna by remembering Him, then there is no need for fear, because in the presence of Krishna, fear cannot exist. So the thing that we need to constantly remember is we don't have to fear when we have to say yes to Krishna, because Krishna is always there to protect us. So how to gain Krishna's attention? Krishna is within our heart. Actually, Prabhupada says in one of his classes, Krishna is within your heart. If you kindly continue to hear about Him as you are doing, then Krishna will be very much pleased. Oh, this person is now interested in me. Because nobody is interested in Krishna, so Krishna is also silent to them. But as soon as you become interested, oh Krishna, Krishna becomes very active. Oh, he is trying to do something, I shall help him. So it is up to us, because if we understand that when we are hearing, when we are chanting, if we can constantly keep our attention towards Krishna, then Krishna is automatically going to get interested in us. So if once Krishna becomes active, then he will automatically help us, right? And also in Srimad Bhagavatam purport, Krishna says that messages of the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna are non-different from Him. Whenever therefore an offenseless hearing and glorification of God are undertaken, it is to be understood that Lord Krishna is present there in the form of transcendental sound, which is as powerful as the Lord personally. So the solution, how can we gain Krishna's attention? By offenselessly hearing and chanting, and the glorification of Lord is, if we can undertake those things, then Krishna is going to be present there in the form of His holy name, and then He will be able to, and so we don't have to have any other fear. We will get His 100% attention. So Prabhupada says that please keep on hearing about Krishna personally. The Lord will become attentive to you and help you move on. With His help, nothing is impossible. So if we can remember that always in our chanting and in our hearing, if we can focus on those things, then we will be able to naturally get Krishna's presence in our hearts, and we will be we can always say yes to Krishna. So, what does this do? By hearing about these different pastimes and different messages from the scriptures, it gives a hope to us, because we will be able to actually remember. Whenever the opportunity comes for us to say yes to Krishna, let us try to remember these pastimes or these promises the Lord made, and see how we can develop that faith, or remove that fear, or get that knowledge, how we can say yes to Krishna in a confident way. And also, if Krishna does something for us, then in this present moment, then greet that work. Because it's not just only what I desire. Because again, like we discussed, Krishna's mercy is inconceivable. So it may not be what we want, but at the same time, it is what is best for us. So that's the key thing that we have to remember. And we have to greet that, because even Guru Maharaj was saying in the morning class, gratitude, right? We have to have that gratitude that whatever Krishna does for us, we have to be thankful for that, what we received. And then Krishna will be more pleased and he will be able to help us more. He will be able to protect us more. Also, don't try to self-pity ourselves. Oh, I'm in such a misery, I don't know what, Krishna is not helping me. No, but just open those lips and chant. And Krishna will definitely protect us. Krishna will definitely be present because he will be present personally in the form of his holy name when you chant, and he will be able to assist us in whatever the situation may be. And also open our heart and pray to the Lord who wants to play something wonderful in all of our hearts. Because Krishna is like the way he wants us to be back. So it's not that he is trying to put us in a situation where we have to face difficulties or where we have to face these situations. But at the same time, he also wants us to come to him on our own terms. He doesn't wants to force anything upon us. So it's up to us to open our heart and pray so that he can play his mercy. He can shower his mercy on us. And of course, last but not least, surrender to Krishna without fail. That is the essence of it. Of course, it's a gradual process. It might take some time, but constantly try to remember how in this particular situation, how I can surrender to Krishna, how I can say yes to Krishna. Because when you say yes to Krishna, you are essentially surrendering, at least for that particular moment or for that particular situation. So the more and more we become dependent, the more and more we surrender ourselves, then Krishna will protect us. Krishna's protection will be us. As he said, he will take care of our yoga kshema. So he will also provide the yoga aspect of it, which is if we are not perfect in our devotional service, the question might come up is that, Prabhu, you talked about all these different scenarios, but all these are wonderful, great devotees. I'm not there yet. I'm not at the stage of Draupadi or Kunti or Pandavas or whatever. But the thing is, Krishna promises that you don't have to be at that particular stage, even if you pray to Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki. I think chapter 9, text 32, I believe, Krishna actually addresses that doubt also. That even if a devotee is not, even if a devotee falls down, even if a devotee is not at the complete perfection, still Krishna says that he's still my devotee. I'll still give him the protection when he needs. So all we have to do is say yes to Krishna. And we have to have that faith that Krishna will protect us, and then Krishna will take care of the rest of the things. So there is a beautiful, nice prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He says, "O Lord, I have fallen into this deep ocean, and instead of searching out for the infallible boat of your lotus feet, I'm trying to grab hold of the seaweeds floating by, thinking that they will give me protection." So try to keep this prayer in your hearts and see how because we are always trying to find our own protection or our own ways of trying to get things, solve things, instead of saying yes to Krishna. So this is a nice prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And as Prabhupada said that by hearing and chanting and glorifying the Supreme Lord, the more we do, the more we get the presence of Krishna in our hearts, and the more easier it becomes to say yes to Krishna all the time, always. Alright? That's all I have. Any comments? Any corrections? So everybody is ready to say yes to Krishna, right? All right. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.